The Man Who Never Stopped.
1. The Gospel of Grinding.
Everyone in Iron City believed in the same religion, even though nobody called it that.
Work. Not faith, not wisdom, not leverage, just work.
Iron City was loud from morning till night.
The hum of factories, the hiss of machines,
The angry cough of buses, the metallic clatter of tools.
the city never slept because sleep didn't pay rent. From childhood, people were taught one simple rule,
If you work hard enough, you'll make it.
and nobody believed that more than Ezekiel Stone. Ezekiel didn't just work hard, he worked like a machine.
At 4:30 a.m., his alarm rang. At 4:31, he was awake.
At 4:40, he was out the door. At 5:15, he clocked in at the steel plant. No excuses, no delays, no softness. While others complained, Ezekiel tightened his gloves. While others rested, Ezekiel volunteered for overtime. While others dreamed, Ezekiel sweated.
His hands were always rough.
His back always sore, his eyes always tired. But there was pride in that tiredness. It meant he was doing something right.
Hard work never lies, his father used to say. Ezekiel believed that lie with his whole soul.
2. The promise that never arrived.
Years passed. Ezekiel was always almost there, almost promoted, almost stable, almost respected, almost rich,
But never there.
Every year, the company promised rewards. Every year, management praised his dedication. Every year, someone else got the raise. The supervisors loved Ezekiel.
Not because he was.
Special, but because he was. Dependable, predictable, replaceable.
He never negotiated. He never questioned. He never asked why.
He only worked.
At 35, Ezekiel had no savings. At 38, his knees started failing.
At 40, the younger workers began calling him old man.
Even though they still leaned on him when things got hard. Still, Ezekiel worked harder.
Because that's what machines do. 3. Machines don't escape the factory.
One evening, after a double shift,
Ezekiel collapsed onto the bus seat beside an old man with calm eyes and clean hands.
the man looked. Rested. Not rich. Not flashy. Just rested. You work too much, the man said casually. Ezekiel laughed weakly. That's how you make it. The man smiled.
No, that's how you stay.
Ezekiel frowned. Stay where? Right here, the man said, tapping the bus floor. In the system.
Ezekiel didn't like that word.
System.
It sounded like an excuse lazy people used. I don't mind working hard, Ezekiel said.
I am not afraid of it. I know, the man replied. That's why it owns you. The bus stopped. The man stood up.
As he stepped off, he added, Machines don't escape factories. They wear out in them. That sentence stayed with Ezekiel longer than any overtime shift ever had.
4. To lie about effort.
Ezekiel started paying attention.
He noticed something strange. The richest men he knew were not the hardest workers.
One owned delivery trucks, but never drove.
Another owned shops, but never stood behind a counter.
Please subscribe on this channel. Another invested in companies he didn't build. They worked, but not like machines.
They made decisions, not just effort. Meanwhile, Ezekiel and people like him did the most physical work and earned the least. The realization scared him.
If hard work alone was enough,
why were the hardest workers still struggling?
The answer crept in slowly, painfully. Effort without direction is just exhaustion. 5. The trap of being reliable. Ezekiel made one terrible discovery too late. Being reliable is not the same as being valuable. The company relied on him, but didn't need to reward him. If he quit, someone else would replace him within a week.
The system didn't reward loyalty.
It rewarded leverage.
Ezekiel had none.
No ownership.
No skills that scaled.
No network.
No control over his time.
He traded hours for money, and hours always run out.
6. When the body says enough.
At 43, Ezekiel's body betrayed him. A sharp pain in his lower back sent him to the ground mid-shift.
The machine kept running.
The factory stayed loud. The system didn't stop.
He did.
The doctor was blunt.
You can't keep doing this.
But I have bills, Ezekiel said.
Your spine doesn't care.
Weeks turned into months. His pay dropped. His value vanished. The company sent flowers, then silence. For the first time in his life, Ezekiel had time to think.
And that's when the regret came. 7. The question he never asked.
Lying on his small apartment bed,
Ezekiel asked a question he had avoided for decades. What am I building? Not surviving. Not working.
not grinding.
Building. He realized the brutal truth. He had spent his life maintaining other people's dreams while ignoring his own.
The factory grew.
The owners expanded. The shareholders smiled. Ezekiel aged. 8. Why working like a machine fails.
Machines are efficient, but powerless. They don't choose. They don't adapt. They don't own outcomes. They repeat. And repetition without leverage leads to stagnation.
The world doesn't reward who works hardest.
It rewards who works smartest, wisest, and at scale.
Effort is fuel, but without a steering wheel, it just burns. 9. The Late Awakening. Ezekiel didn't magically become rich, but he learned. He learned that income tied only to time is fragile. Ownership beats effort.
Skills that scale beat brute labor. Strategy beats stamina.
He began teaching younger workers what he never learned. Don't just work, he told them.
Build.
Some listened, most didn't. They were too busy grinding, just like he once was. 10. The Final Lesson. Years later, Ezekiel sat on a bench outside the old factory. The machine still roared inside.
New workers came and went.
He wasn't bitter anymore, just honest.
When a young man asked him, "What's the secret to making it?"
Ezekiel answered quietly, "If you work like a machine, you'll be treated like one."
And machines don't retire wealthy.
They get replaced. The young man laughed it off. Ezekiel watched him go, knowing the lesson would take time. It always does. Why you won't make it if you only work like a machine? Because machines don't think. Machines don't own. Machines don't leverage. Machines don't choose direction. They only repeat until they break. And the world is full of broken machines who once believed hard work was enough.